Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pick and Roll with the Presley Bros. As you see, I am missing my co-host and my brother. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my computer. I forgot to do that before we started. Should have been on top of this already. But my brother is out with some illness. His wife and his children are sick. So I'm doing this by myself today. So bear with me. We thank you for following along with us. We thank you for subscribing. Go follow us on Instagram. It's PR_Presley Bros. Please subscribe to the channel. We're up to 45 subscribers. We've only been doing this for about a month now, so I think that's pretty good. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe and bring 10 of your friends to subscribe as well. We're going to react to some of the games on Saturday. There was a big slate of college basketball this past Saturday. You know, we usually do an episode on Monday and Thursdays, but I'm going out of town this weekend. So we decided that we're only going to do one episode this week and one episode next week. We were trying to get an episode done on Tuesday, but like I said, my brother has been dealing with some sickness, with some illness. So we are just trying to roll with all of this because this is brand new to us as well. And I hope that this is coming in okay on YouTube because I've never streamed before on YouTube before. But thank y'all for following along. Thank y'all for subscribing. I hope y'all are enjoying the content. I'm loving this college basketball season. It's been really great. It kind of seems to be back to like older college basketball before NIL, maybe a little bit. I mean, I know there hasn't been a ton of upsets, but it doesn't seem like last year, those 4 teams that made the Final Four, they were just head and shoulders above everybody. But this year, I don't think even like Michigan and Arizona and UConn, Duke, I don't think those teams are just overwhelmingly better than the majority. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the basketball season and really looking forward to March Madness. I'm hoping for a lot of upsets because that's what the madness is all about. We're going to dig right in to reacting to some games on Saturday. First game, Alabama versus Arizona. I was at that game. And if you watched our live stream before, you saw that Tucker picked Alabama and I picked Arizona. Now, we're both Alabama fans, but I just could not rightfully pick Alabama with how good Arizona is. I mean, they are so talented on both ends of the floor. They're so good. And I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone's opinion is about Michigan being the number 1 team. Arizona is the number 1 team in the country, and they deserve their spot. Like, they deserve to be the number 1 team in the country because they've worked for it and they have the resume for it. It started out as a great game. I mean, it was a fantastic game. I was there. I was so excited. I was like, okay, Alabama right in this thing at halftime, even up at halftime. And I was just like, okay, this game's going to come down to the wire, probably going to come down to like last 2 possessions, who does what, who can make the big shots. But if you watched the game, you witnessed one of the worst halves of basketball I've ever seen. Alabama's second half against Arizona was one of the worst halves that I've ever watched. Arizona scored 57 points in the second half. By the way, halftime, it was 41-39 Alabama. They scored 57 points in the second half. Bama only scored 34. Final score, 96-75. It was just really bad. I love Nate Oates. I think Nate Oates is a great coach. One thing I don't understand, I just cannot understand, is why he doesn't call a timeout. They go on, I think they went on a 17-0 run, if I remember correctly. Arizona went on a 17-0 run, and he doesn't call a timeout. What coach does not call a timeout right there? I don't know. I don't understand. Secondly, is the defensive end. It continues to be the struggle for Alabama year after year after year. The last time that Alabama had a good defensive team was when Brandon Miller was on the team 3 years ago. I think that was 2022. And They made it to the Sweet 16 and lost. Maybe I can't think it was Sweet 16 against San Diego State. But that team was great, and they lost. They didn't make it. They didn't make it where they thought they were going to. And I think that was probably, honestly, I think that was probably NATO's best chance to win a national title was with that team, because that team was just so good. But I don't understand not calling a timeout there, and why are you allowing 57 points? I know Arizona's good, but 57 points and a half is really, really bad. Rebounds is what is continuing to kill Alabama. Let me just give you all the stats here. Offensive rebounds for Arizona compared to Alabama, 22 to 3. 22 to 3. That is disgusting. How in the world do you not box out? I have never seen a team so incapable of boxing out in my life. They got out rebound 52 to 32 overall. 20 rebounds. Arizona's plus 20 on the rebounding. And literally, this team doesn't box out. They literally just don't box out, and I don't get it. I don't get why Alabama or most teams don't even do it. Put a butt in somebody. I know it sounds weird, but that's what you got to do. To box out, you put your butt in them and you push them out. And if they try to come over you, you know what happens? You get an over-the-back foul. But Alabama just goes, all right, let me just jump up in the air. Let me just jump up. That doesn't work, especially against a team like Arizona. But I'll give it to Arizona because, like I said earlier, they are just a great team. They really are. And like I said, some people might think Michigan's the number one team. Some people might think Duke's the number one team. It is not even close, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is not even close. Arizona has probably the best win of the year, or Iowa State, depending on what I could see that. I could debate that. Arizona goes to UConn, beats UConn. Iowa State went to Purdue and just waxed them. But I still think Arizona is the best team in the country, and it's not even close. And my fear going into this game was that Arizona is just too good, and it was true. It just seems like Alabama can't hang with the big dogs. See, when they played Purdue, just couldn't hang in there. Rebounding, killed them again. Play Arizona, you just can't hang in there. You lose again. It's the rebounding over and over and over again. Now, let me talk about Braden Burries for a second. He came out in the second half, and he could not miss. He finished with 28 on 11 of 19 and 5 of 10 from 3. He was just shooting lights out, and I did not realize he was as good as he is. I was really impressed with his talent and how well he played, because he is a really, really good player. We said one of the keys, if you remember, we said one of the keys to this game was bench points, because we thought that Bama's team was deeper overall. And I still would say that it is. But Bama's bench had 15 points compared to Arizona's 22. And you just can't. If your team is deeper and you're relying on your bench players to get you some points, that's usually kind of how, like, you usually are like, okay, this is where this game can take over. One of the keys to this game is our bench points, because we're such a deep team. But man, everyone struggled on the bench. Keaton Bristow, 3 points. London Jemison, 0. Amari Allen, 5. Noah Williamson, 0. Jalil Bethia, 4. He had 4 in 2 minutes. And Houston Millette, 3. Houston Millette, I know Nate Oates loves him, but he is a very disappointing player to me. He is like the most one-dimensional player I've ever seen. Aiden Holloway, you could tell he was clearly limited. He played, only shot the ball twice, and had 0 points. And if you know Aiden Holloway, you know that's not his game. Like, shooting the ball twice is not his game. Bro likes to chunk up shots. LeBaron Philon is continuing to have a great season. In my opinion, he's looking like a player of the year. Let me read you these stats here. 22 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game. That is 4th in the nation points per game, He's 150th plus in rebounds, but he's a point guard, and tied 40th for assist. There is not many guards out there who are doing what LeBaron Philon is doing. Latrell Wrightsell also had a great game, but besides LeBaron Philon and Latrell Wrightsell, everyone just looked bad. Besides the first half was great, but it was just them two keeping him in it. They combined for 46 points, 46 of 75. So over half the points LeBaron Philon and Latrell Wrightsell combined for. You got to do better than that. Oh, 45. Sorry, 45 points, but still over half the points. Arizona, though, just too good, man. Just too good. Next game. We're going to talk about Nebraska versus Illinois. If you remember, me and Tucker both picked Illinois. We thought that Illinois was going to be too good for Nebraska because if you look at Nebraska's schedule, they've kind of had an easy road so far. They beat Creighton and they beat Wisconsin, but those teams are not good this year. Like Wisconsin and Creighton are usually pretty solid basketball teams, but they are not good. They're not good at all. Creighton's been waxed by multiple teams. Wisconsin is the same. They're just not good this year. But Nebraska, they're legit. They're a good team. I was not expecting for Nebraska to be as good as they are. But they can shoot. I mean, 1 through 5 can shoot the three. And I've said this before. That's exactly what I would want. That's the kind of play style that I like. I don't want everyone just chunking up threes, but I like that 1 through 5 can shoot threes because you cause so many offensive problems for the defense. You got to get your big guy. Your big guy now has to step out. So now you leave the lane open. If you're stepped out, that keeps the lane wide open. You can't just sit in the paint if you have a 5 who can shoot. But this was a close game from beginning to end. I mean, it was down to the wire from the very beginning. Now, at the first half, I thought for a second that maybe Nebraska was about to run away with it because Nebraska allowed Price Sanford to score 26 in the first half. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is going off. But, it was just one of those games. Even the announcers were talking about it, how anything that he was throwing up was going in. Like he just couldn't miss. And people have those games. It stinks when it happens against you, but it just happens. But down the wire, Thomas Lavivicic, the starting center for Illinois, he hit a huge 3 to tie the game. And I was like, oh, headed into overtime. This game's headed to overtime. But Jamarcus Lawrence, he goes down and hits a game winner. Heartbreaking way for Illinois to lose is at Illinois. And you just tied the game, so you're thinking like, okay, we're going to go into overtime. We got home court advantage. They honestly probably would have won that game. I think they would have if it would have went overtime. But you know what? It didn't happen. It didn't go into overtime. Jamarcus Lawrence claimed on national television that right when he released it, he knew it was going in. And if you saw the shot, it was a beautiful shot. A very beautiful shot. I mean, it was perfectly set up by Price Sanford. I thought he took too long. I thought Price Sanford took a little too long, but man, it was a great shot. And it was not even really contested either. So hats off to Nebraska. They're off to an 11-0 start, which is the best start in their program history. And I think Nebraska might make some noise this season. I mean, they have a sort of a tough slate coming up in the next few weeks. They have to go to Michigan State. I mean, they have the Michigan State at Nebraska. Then they got to go to Ohio State. Then they got to go to Indiana. So those are 3 pretty hard games, especially Michigan State. So I think we're really going to see how good they are when they play that Michigan State team because Illinois is not good on the defensive end. I still thought Illinois was going to win this game, but they're just not as good as Michigan State on the defensive end. Michigan State on the defensive end is incredible. Price Sanford, as I said, he finished with 26. Had 26 in the first half. His career high was 28, and he finished with 32. So he only had 6 points in the second half. I think Illinois kind of realized, okay, we got to do something about this guy. We got to like lock him up because he was just not missing. But the key to this game, there wasn't really a big differential between anybody. The reason why Illinois lost is because Nebraska was just on fire. They shot 52% overall and 46% from three. 12 of 26, 46%. Illinois shot 48% overall and 34% from three. And that's the difference. I mean, it's incredibly difficult to win a game when someone shoots 46% from three and 52% overall. It's just hard. It's hard to win, and Illinois had it. I mean, Illinois down to the wire. I said it was tied. Thomas Lavavicic hit that huge three, tied at the end, but then Nebraska, man, they just shut it down with a game winner. Nebraska's a good team, and one of the announcers said, I don't think that they just put the Big Ten on notice. I think they put the whole entire Division I basketball, NCAA, whatever, on notice. And I agree. That Nebraska team is good, and we're really going to get a look at them. I'm really excited to see how they play against Michigan State because that defense is way different than Illinois'. What a great game, though. I got to give it to Nebraska. And I hope that they continue to do well. I mean, I like Michigan State, but if Nebraska won, I wouldn't be like mad because I'm not like a Michigan State homer or anything. So we'll see what happens. I just love the upsets. That's really what I care more about than anything else. Next game, Arkansas versus Texas Tech. I wish Tucker was here. When that game ended, I said 1-0, and he was like, all right, buddy, remember what happened last time you bragged? Which is true. After the last time I bragged, I went on a big losing streak. But I picked Arkansas to win that game. Tucker picked Texas Tech. And if you watched, Arkansas won. And to be completely honest, I was like, at the end of the first half, I was like, uh-oh. I might have made the wrong choice. Texas Tech was on fire. They were playing well. They looked good. I just didn't think. I honestly I kind of was like, well, what's going to happen here? I mean, they shot really well. Texas Tech did, but Arkansas shot even better. Listen to this offensive game. Like, this was literally just a pure offensive game, zero defense, pretty much. 51% overall for Texas Tech, 42% from three. Field goal percentage for Arkansas, 52% field goal percentage overall, and 53% from three, 10 of 19. And as I just said, it is so hard to win a game when you were, according to the stats, you are making every other shot. So you miss one, that means the next one's going in. Arkansas could not miss. They ended up putting 50 on Texas Tech in the second half. So at the end of the first half, it was 49-43. Texas Tech only scored 37 in the second half, and Arkansas scored 50. It was a really close game. JT Toppin and Christian Anderson did everything they could. JT Toppin 30 and 11. Christian Anderson 26 and 11 assists. Like, they played incredible. But listen to the other guys' stats. LaJuan Watts 8. Tyree Bryan 8. Donovan Atwell 6. That is the most disappointing one. And Jalen Petty, who comes off the bench, 8. That's the most disappointing stat, though, is Donovan Atwell. I thought that he was going to be so good for Texas Tech. I was like, this is a huge pickup for them. They lost a lot of guys. They need somebody who can shoot the ball. He shot 5 times, all of them threes, and only made 2. First, I think Grant McCasland has to get him open a little more. He has to get some more shots because it's hard to get going when you're only shooting 5 threes. But still, Donovan Atwell has been very, very disappointing. I'm surprised he's averaging 11 points per game, which is not like incredible, but I'm surprised he's even averaging that because like he has not been good. And he's shooting 45%. I'm surprised by that. But still, you need a lot more. You definitely need more for him in that game. Texas Tech is just, as I said like early in the season that Texas Tech was my most disappointing team so far. I really thought that this team was going to be good, that they were going to compete in the Big 12, but they're just not. Like they're going to be middle of the road and maybe even bottom half of the Big 12. I mean, Texas Tech has like no quality wins right now. Like their best win is LSU, an undefeated LSU when they were undefeated. They waxed LSU. That's LSU's only loss, but still, LSU's not like a basketball powerhouse. And we're gonna see if Texas Tech can finally get that signature win against Duke this Saturday. We're gonna talk about that game here in a little bit. But Trayvon Brazile for Arkansas, oh my goodness! In the second half, he was incredible. I could not believe how good he looked. I didn't think he was like that great of a player, but man, he was so good in the second half. John Calipari said that he looked like one of the best players in the country, or that he could be one of the best players in the country. I don't agree with that, but he did look like one of the best players in the country in the second half. He was the engine for that team, the engine for the comeback. He literally seemed to be everywhere on the floor, blocking shots, dunking the basketball, shooting threes. He did it all over the floor, everywhere on the floor. He finished with 24 points, 10 rebounds, and I'm curious. Oh, 2 blocks. Okay, I thought he had more than that, but he had 2 really big blocks down the stretch. But Darius Acuff Jr. had an incredible game, 20 points. Carter Knox had another incredible game, 20 points. So you had 3 guys in 20, one guy 24. So that's 64 points right there from your three big guys. And one of their other better players who comes off the bench, Malik Thomas, he didn't have a great game. He only had 8 points and went 1 for 8. I mean, 2 for 8 overall, 1 for 4 from the 3. And I think he's probably their third or fourth best player. Another really good freshman. I mean, he comes off the bench, but he's really, really talented. But man, Trayvon Brazile just looked so good against Texas Tech. I think a key of this game is that Grant McCasland only played one guy off the bench. One guy, and it was Jalen Petty. It's exhausting when you're playing for 30 plus minutes and Christian Anderson and JT Toppin played all 40 minutes. It's hard to keep going. It's hard to keep the energy going. I know you're going to say, Coach, I'm fine, Coach, I'm in shape. Basketball, like being in basketball shape is way different than being like, I'm ready to run a half marathon or a marathon. It's way different because you're stopping and going. All right, now I got to slide and shuffle. It's just the shape is so different, and it's so hard to play all 40 minutes. But I don't know if they just don't have anybody on their bench or Grant McCasland's just not going to play anybody else, but they got to get more help from the bench. I think if, let's just say they have some guys on the bench who he didn't want to play just because. I don't think that's the case, but let's just say hypothetically, there's some guys on the bench who didn't play them just because. I think that's one of the main reasons why they lost this game. Because you only got one guy off the bench and he only had 8 points. They had 3 guys come off the bench who scored 23. Yeah, 23 points. So you got outscored 23-8 on the bench points. I think the other key, and this is probably the biggest one for me, is free throws. Texas Tech went 3 of 10 from the free throw line. 30%. Very easy math. 30% from the free throw line. While Arkansas went 17 of 26, which isn't good either. 65%. That's not good either, but they made 14 more free throws. I just don't get, I will never understand players who can't make free throws. You know, like back in the day in the NBA, it used to be called hack a shack. And now they'll say like hack a toppin'. or hack whoever because JT Toppin is shooting 51% from the free throw line this year. And I just don't understand that. I'm like, Coach, are you not making your guys practice free throws? I mean, if I was a head coach, and maybe this is the reason why I'm not, but I don't, who cares? If I was a head coach, every single player would be able to make free throws, whether you're exhausted, whether you're fresh. You got to make free throws because that will cost you a game. That will cost you the game. The final score was 93 to 86. Let's just say they made all the free throws and Arkansas stayed the same. You win the game. You win the game by 3. Now, obviously, most teams don't make 100% of free throws, but you only shot 10. You only shot 10 free throws. JT Toppin from the free throw line, let me tell y'all what he went from the free throw line against Arkansas. 2 of 7. 2 of 7. And Christian Anderson, 1 of 3. That was all the free throw. That was all the free throws. No one else went to the free throw line. So you got to get, first of all, you got to get to the basket and get fouled. Secondly, make your free throws. It's unbelievable. I will never get it. I will never understand it. I get so frustrated at every team, every player when you miss free throws. I know nobody's perfect because even Steph Curry misses free throws and he has like a 90-something% overall free throw percentage. But I think every single player, this is my opinion, every single player should be shooting 80% or above. Every single player in the whole, like from basketball overall. That might be a hot take, but that's my opinion. Is that every single player should be shooting 80% or above because they're free points. That's why they're called free throws. You gotta make them. But Arkansas, I told Tucker, they seem to win these big games. And they did. I mean, I think Arkansas is a really good team. I really do. They're now up to 14 in the AP poll. They only lost to Michigan State by 3, lost to Duke by 9, and they were beating Duke for a while. Beat Louisville by 9 and beat Texas Tech by 7. They got to play Houston this Saturday. There's a ton of good games on Saturday that we're going to talk about, but another great game. I mean, this past Saturday was full of great games, and it seems like every Saturday there's tons and tons of great basketball games going on, and I love that. I love it. My favorite time of the year is basketball season. I am definitely more of a basketball fan than a college football fan. I've always been that way, and I will probably be that way for the rest of my life. I think it's part of it because I grew up watching it, but I'm really excited for this season. Let's talk about the first game another game we're going to react to actually before we go to predictions is this past Tuesday. Usually we would have done an episode on Monday. We would have predicted this game, but we didn't. We're going to talk about Louisville versus Tennessee. Man, Louisville just got waxed. It was bad. Even at the first half, it was 34-27. You're like, okay, they're only down by 7. It looked way bigger than that. It just looked way bigger. Now Louisville was missing Mikal Brown Jr. and he's their second best player. I would think he's probably just a little bit worse than Ryan Conwell, but they're missing Mikal Brown Jr., great freshman. I think he's projected top 5 on a lot of mock drafts. But Tennessee, Louisville could not handle Tennessee's physicality. They just couldn't do it. Tennessee was literally having their way on everything. Like they literally just got their way everywhere. Louisville, a team that averages 90 points per game. 90 points. Only finished with 67. They averaged 91.4 and they finished with 67. The reason I mentioned that is because Tennessee was on a 3-game losing streak. They're not trying to go on a 4-game losing streak. I was watching the game and they said the only time Tennessee has ever gone on a 4-game losing streak was 10 years ago in Rick Barnes' first year at Tennessee Volunteers. That was the only time that they've ever lost 4 games in a row. But Tennessee maybe they're finally going to bounce back here. They needed something because it was not looking good. Both teams shot not okay from three. I mean, Louisville, they really were just hoisting them. There were sometimes I was like, oh my goodness, they are just letting these fly. They finished with 7 of 34 from three, 21%. Tennessee, 7 of 18, 39%, which isn't that bad. Tennessee's not really a three-point shooting team. I think the big difference here was the turnovers and the points off turnovers. Louisville had 16 turnovers. I don't care how fast you play, that's really bad. If you have 16 turnovers, that's really bad. Most coaches like to keep it under 10. I mean, Tennessee had 11 turnovers and they're not really a turnover prone team. But points off turnovers. Sorry, I got stuttered there. Points off turnovers. Louisville, 9 had 9 points off 11 turnovers. Tennessee, 21 had 21 points off their turnovers. Louisville just could not handle the physicality of Tennessee. And if you remember last year's game, it was the exact same. Louisville could not handle the physicality, and Pat Kelsey was like kind of offended. I mean, not really offended. He was disappointed in his team. That's the word I was looking for. Just very disappointed in his team and how they played, and kind of just like, man, you look like a bunch of babies out here. What are you doing? You need to, you need to be matching their physicality, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it last year, and they couldn't do it again this year. Ryan Conwell tried to do everything he can without Mikael Brown Jr., but there's only so much he can do. He shot the ball 19 times, went 7 of 19, finished with 22 points, went 4 of 13 from three. Not very good. Not very good at all. Adrian Woolley, who's probably their third best player, had 19 points, went 6 of 13 overall, and 2 of 8 from three. You know, Louisville is a three-point shooting team, but they just weren't falling. I give a lot of credit to Tennessee's defense because they are a really good defensive team. Isaac McNeely, who is probably the best three-point shooter on that team, shooting 45% from three, went 1 of 7 and 2 of 10 overall. I was watching the game. Tennessee made it a point to run him off the three line. And that's what you got to do with a guy like him, because that's all he wants to do. All he wants to do is shoot threes. And they made a point to get him off the three-point line, and they did a really good job. Nate Ament, he continues to be someone that I'm kind of like not very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Impressed. Yeah, there we go. I'm not really impressed by him yet. He had 13 points. But the reason why I'm not impressed with him is because he's 6'10", and he was guarded most of the game by Isaac McNeely, who is 6'4". So that's 6 inches. And honestly, I think Nate Ament is taller than that. I think he's taller than 6'10". Just looking at him next to Felix Akpara, he did not look. Oh, Felix Akpara is only 6'11". My bad. I thought he was taller than that. Maybe he is 6'10", but he still looked to be taller than 6'10". When you have that big of a height difference, you need to take advantage of that. Like, you have to take advantage of that. And it just seemed like he couldn't do it. And I think the big reason why is because he's just so small. He has no size on him at all. I don't know if it gives me his weight right here. I hope it does. It says 6'10", 207 pounds for Nate Ament. All that weight comes from his height because he is a stick. And some people might say, well, you know, KD's a stick. He's not KD. There are very few KD-like players. He's not KD. Jacoby Gillespie had the game high with 23. He is easily the best player on that Tennessee team. Easily. He is a great player. he can't do it all by himself, but he is a very good player, averaging 18 points a game, 3 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game. He's going to have to continue to play like he did against Louisville for them for Tennessee, sorry. Jacoby Gillespie is going to have to play this well, continue to have to play this well for Tennessee to make a run in the SEC and a run in March Madness. Otherwise, this team is going to fall very short. I mean, the fact that Tennessee lost 3 in a row was shocking to me. I was really surprised by that. They lost to Kansas, lost to Syracuse, then lost to Illinois. And I would have never thought they'd lose to Syracuse, but sure enough, they lost to Illinois by 13, and Illinois just lost to Nebraska. But you know what? It's college basketball for a reason. That's why I love it. That's why we love it, because the craziness that can happen. That's one of the many. I've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again as we go throughout these episodes. The number one reason why I love college basketball is because anyone can beat anyone. In football, NIL has evened the playing field, but not anyone can beat anyone. Like ULM could beat Duke in basketball. If they went out and they shot over 50% from 3, I don't know anything about ULM. I'm just making a hypothetical here. They could beat Duke if they were just making everything. Think about Loyola Chicago a few years ago. They made it to the Final Four because they just couldn't miss. They were making every shot. But in football, if ULM was to play Ohio State 100 times, Ohio State would win 100 times. Because that's just how football is. It's just not the same. That's one of the many reasons why I love college basketball. Let's get into the prediction part. First game we're looking at is St. John's versus Kentucky. St. John's versus Kentucky. Kentucky finally got their first solid win against Indiana. I don't think Indiana's that good. They ended up beating Indiana 72-60. Now, I'm just not really high on Indiana. I did predict Indiana to win. I will say it. Tucker predicted Kentucky, so that's a point to him. I just don't think Indiana's that solid of a team. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm taking St. John's here. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? Neutral floor. It's at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. 11:30 a.m. December 20th. I don't see Kentucky winning this game. If it was at home, I would have more hope for them, but I just don't see them getting it done. Their biggest struggle, Kentucky's biggest struggle, is their big men. They have no big men at all, like who are like solid, and that's why they really need to get Jaden Quinton's back. I know they're praying for him to come back because he's a big body. Now they have Malachi Moreno, who's 7 foot, but he's just not that great of a player. And I don't see him being the guy that stops Zuby Ejiofor and then Bryce Hopkins. Like those are St. John's best players, and I don't see Kentucky having the offense or the defense to stop those two guys. Kentucky's offense continues to be bad. I mean, they're averaging 84 points a game. That's like, as I said this before too. If you're in the 80s, you're not doing very great overall if you're averaging 80 points per game as like a high team. And Kentucky is one of the blue bloods. I mean, they are definitely one of the blue bloods. I'm honestly really shocked by this. St. John's is 18 in KenPom and Kentucky's 19. I think that is I was astounding, honestly. I would not have Kentucky in my top 25 if I was like the guy over this. And I know that, like, he does the metrics, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. The only way I think Kentucky wins this game is if Otega Owe finally has a breakout game. Finally. If he can finally have a breakout game, then maybe they can win this game. I mean, he had 16 against Gonzaga, 21 against Northern Colorado, Northern Carolina Central. It's whatever. It's Northern Carolina Central. Then he had 10 against Indiana. You can, from your best player, you got to have more than that. You got to have more than 10 points. And I know they won the game, but he has just been extremely disappointing, especially with what everybody was saying about him, saying SEC Player of the Year, Wooden Naismith Player of the Year possibility, Wooden Award top 50. Like, he's just been extremely underwhelming. And I know that we seem to be bashing Kentucky like every episode, but I just can't seem to like give them any support yet until they prove to me that they have turned it over and maybe figured some things out. I'm going to continue to believe what I believe, that Kentucky is just not good this year, that they're just not a good team. So give me St. John's in a close one. I do think it'll be close. Neither team really scores that much. St. John's averaging 88 points per game. Kentucky, as I said, 84 points per game. Now, Kentucky is doing a little bit better on the defensive end, holding opponents to 66 points per game, while St. John's is holding opponents to 72, which is pretty bad overall. Let's look at their offensive rating. I want to see if I can find it real quick. St. John's at 18 offensive rating, which is, I'm actually really surprised by that. And let's see, I'm trying to find Kentucky so far. I don't see them. Not in the top 20. Wait, no, I counted wrong. 10, 20. St. John's is 24 offensively. And Kentucky is 36. Sorry. I should have had this down already. But Kentucky 36 offensively and St. John's at 24. 24 and 36 offensively rating on KenPom. I'm actually surprised by St. John's being 24. I'm not surprised to see Kentucky that low. I honestly thought they'd be even lower. They have been extremely disappointing team so far, and I know Mark Pope is thinking the same thing. Like, man, what? He's probably just scratching his head, like, what's going on with our team? Maybe, just maybe, like when they get all their guys healthy, will they be really solid? Will they be a really solid team? I don't see it, but you never know. Our next game, Ohio State versus North Carolina. This isn't like it's not a ranked matchup, but neither was the last one, Kentucky versus St. John's. Ohio State has been pretty solid, though, especially Bruce Thornton. Bruce Thornton is averaging 22 points per game, 8th in the nation. He scored against Illinois, even though they lost that game by 8. He dropped 34 points against them and shot, golly, I can't stop burping, shot 76% against Illinois. 76%, 34 points. That was his best game of the season. He went off. Now, here's what I'll say about that. That he really carries this team. Like, if he's not performing well, it's not going well. Surprisingly, man, I'm really shocked by this. ESPN has Ohio State 52.1% prediction over North Carolina, who's 47.9. I do not see that at all. I think North Carolina is a really good team this year. I think Caleb Wilson is easily one of the best freshmen in the nation, probably the second best freshman, only behind AJ Dibansa. So Tucker did really well by that. Shout out to my brother Tucker. Hopefully he gets better soon, and his family as well. He's averaging 20 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game. That's a really good stat line for a freshman. And he's shooting 55% from the field. Like, that is impressive for anybody, but let alone a freshman. Usually sometimes freshmen, they come in, people are really hyped about them, but they don't perform, maybe. No, he's not all the noise. Now he's kind of gone under the radar a little bit compared to some of these freshmen, but all the noise about him has not gotten to him. Now, we'll say North Carolina is probably on the lower half of offense. They're only averaging 81 points per game, even worse than Kentucky, which is shocking. And Ohio State is averaging 88. So both these teams don't really score a ton. Um, Ohio State's defense is not very good. They are allowing 73 points per game, and North Carolina is averaging 64. Allowing 64. Sorry. KenPom rating. I want to see if I can find it. North Carolina at 22 and Ohio State all the way down to 40, which that doesn't really surprise me. Ohio State, I don't think, is that great of a team. Outside of Bruce Thornton, they don't really have much going on for them. I mean, let me just look at this Illinois game for y'all real quick in the box score. Bruce Thornton had 34. The next highest score was Devin Royal with 15. They had 4 guys in double digits, but if Bruce Thornton is not playing well, like let's just say Bruce Thornton scored his average, which is 22 points per game, if I remember correctly. Let me go back. Yeah, 22 points per game. They would have been a blowout against Illinois. But since he went off, it was 88 to 80. But he scored 12 more points than his average. So you go, if it's now 68, 88, that's a 20-point loss. So you just got blown out. But he went off, so they didn't get blown out. If you hold Bruce Thornton in check, you win the game. It's just that simple to me. He is the engine for this team. He is literally the everything for this team. And Caleb Wilson, very similar, but Henry Vasar is the next best player on that team, and he is very, very talented. Probably one of the best bigs, in my opinion, one of the best bigs in college basketball this year. He's averaging 17 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, shooting 65% from the field. And he can shoot the three. He's averaging 48% from three. Now, he probably doesn't have a huge what's the word I'm looking for? Daggum. Huge pool of threes, but still, I don't care. Unless he's only shot like 5, which I doubt it, 48% is impressive. I guarantee he shot at least 10. So that's impressive. I think North Carolina is going to be too much for Ohio State. I'm even going to say so. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that North Carolina wins by double digits in this game. I think they're just too good. And like I said, you stop Bruce Thornton, you win this game. So give me North Carolina. Give me the Tar Heels. Next game, we're talking about, like I said, a lot of good games on Saturday. I know there's college football playoffs, so a lot of y'all will be tuning into that. But make sure you tune into these college basketball games as well. Next game is Houston versus Arkansas. Probably the biggest game that night. December 20th, 4:30. Houston versus Arkansas. I'm hoping that I can watch all of these. Houston, Kelvin Sampson always has a great team. I mean, they're predicted 78% chance to win compared to Arkansas's 78.1% compared to Arkansas's 21.9. I gotta go. I just gotta go with Houston. Their defense is just too good. I think Arkansas will keep it close because Houston's offense is just not incredible. They're going to rely a lot on their defense to win the games, but I think that their defense is so good that they're going to be able to do more than enough to beat Arkansas. Now, Arkansas scores 12 more points than them per game. Houston only scores 78. Arkansas scores 90. But here's the big difference. Houston holds opponents to 58 points. That's impressive. 58 points, while Arkansas holds opponents to 73. It's just, I think Houston, like I said, I just think Houston is too good. Their defense is too good. And I don't think Arkansas, like Darius Acuff Jr. is incredible. Trayvon Brazile was incredible against Texas Tech. I don't think that they're going to be able to replicate the game that they had. Now, if they can, then Houston's going to need to watch out. There is a path for Arkansas. I mean, it is not like far-fetched because their offense is good. They have a good offense. But Houston is 9 overall KenPom. Arkansas is, wow, they're a lot further than I thought. I'm trying to find them now. Arkansas is down to 25. I'm kind of shocked by that. So Houston at 9, Arkansas down to 25. Let me look at their defensive rating. This is something that I really want to look at. Houston at 7. Houston at 7. And give me a second. I'm scrolling through here on KenPom to see. Arkansas at 35 and Houston at 7 defensive rating. And again, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Arkansas is at 35. Their defense is not good. Like, they could not stop JT Toppin. And I know JT Toppin's one of the best players in the country. They could not stop him. No matter what happened, they could not do enough to handle him. And I don't think Houston's offense isn't. They don't have a guy that they can rely on just to get a bucket. Their best offensive player is Emmanuel Sharp, averaging 17 points per game. But I just think Houston is too good overall to lose. I think Houston's just too good overall to lose at Arkansas, especially on a neutral floor in Newark, New Jersey, December 20th, 4:30. I'm gonna try and keep this episode under 51, under an hour. So, or like right at an hour. I got 8 minutes. We're gonna go into the next game. Give me Houston in that game. I think Houston, like I said many times, Houston is just too good. I don't see them losing that game. If they did, I'm not gonna be like, oh my goodness. But I just think Houston is too good. Next game, Purdue versus Auburn. Another, no, not a. I thought it was a neutral floor game. This is not a neutral floor game, I don't think, because it's in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I don't think that's Purdue Stadium. Let me see. Okay, it's not. So it technically is a neutral floor, but it's in Indianapolis, Indiana. And if you don't know geography, Purdue is in Indiana. So there are going to be way more Purdue fans than there are going to be Auburn fans. And I'm going to treat Auburn like I treat Kentucky, because Auburn is just not that good this year. And just like Kentucky, Tahad Pettiford has been extremely disappointing for Auburn, just like Otega Owe has been extremely disappointing for Kentucky. He's averaging 16 points per game, which isn't that bad, but it's 150th plus. I expect a guy like Tahad Pettiford I expected him to be top 50 at least, especially with the kind of season he had last year. Only averaging 3 rebounds per game and 2 assists per game. He's just not really. I think he's more of a shooting guard than he is a point guard, but they don't really have a guy who can handle the ball like anyone else. So he's the guy. And Tucker said it many times. This team goes as Tahad Pettiford goes. I think Keshawn Hall has been their best player this year, averaging 21 points per game, 9 rebounds per game. He is another contender for SEC Player of the Year. I think it's going to be between him, LeBaron Philon, and Thomas Houck from Florida. He's just a great player. And that's why I remember being so annoyed when he announced he was leaving UCF and his final schools were like Auburn. And so I don't remember the other schools. I just remember Auburn was in the list, and I was like, dadgummit, I hope he doesn't go there. And then, of course, the next day he chooses Auburn. To no surprise, ESPN has 65.5% favorite on Purdue compared to Arkansas's 34.5. I would put that up to like 80% personally. Purdue, they did get waxed by Ohio State. I think Iowa State, my bad. Purdue got waxed by Iowa State at home, but I think Iowa State, one, they were on fire that game. Two, Iowa State, they have not been this good offensively in a really long time. So I don't Auburn's not even close to the same level as Iowa State. I'm going to take Purdue in a big one here. I'm going to say 10 plus in this game. Braden Smith is a great point guard. Like he is a true point guard. But they also don't have the big men to compete with Purdue's big men. And just to give y'all some more stats here, Purdue KenPom is 6 overall offensive rating, number 1. Number 1 offensive rating. Defensive rating for Purdue is, let me see if I can find that real quick. Surprisingly, down to 24, but still, Purdue is a great team. Let's look at Auburn now. Auburn is at 30 overall offensive rating. Okay, I had to pass them. I've had to pass them now. "13 offensive rating." I'm actually really surprised by that. Sorry, I could not. I kept on scrolling and I couldn't find them. 13 offensive rating for Auburn. I'm surprised by that. Like really surprised. Defensive rating for Auburn is. I need to have these stats down better next time. Okay, did I go right over them again? I either went right over them or I'm not finding it. I'm not seeing them yet. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, I can't find them. I can't even find Auburn's defensive rating. So I scrolled for a while. That means they're bad. They're just not good on the defensive end. They score 86.5 points per game. Purdue scores 84, but Auburn allows 77 points per game, while Purdue only allows 67 points per game. I just think that Purdue's big men are going to be the difference here. I don't think Auburn has the quality of big men that Purdue has to keep up with this team. And again, it's a home game for Purdue. So it makes it even harder. I don't care about the neutral floor. It's like saying Alabama was at a neutral floor when they played Arizona. It's in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm going to take Purdue in a big one here. I just think that they're too good and too talented to lose to an Auburn team who is just mediocre at best. I think Auburn's not good this year. I think, like I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say this, Auburn is going to fall out of the top 25 eventually, and they're not going to be ranked for the rest of the season. Like once they fall out, I do not see them hopping back into the top 25. That's my opinion. We'll see how that plays out. Last game we're going to talk about. Last game, it's probably the second biggest game of the slate on Saturday is Duke versus Texas Tech. I'm not sure I'm going to make my hour thing because it's already at 59 minutes. Duke versus Texas Tech. And no surprise here, Duke is favored at 85.7% to Texas Tech 14.3. 85.7 to 14.3. That is rough for Texas Tech. And I feel kind of bad that it's that big of a difference. Sorry, I've been talking for a while. I had to get some water. This is another neutral floor game at Madison Square Garden. This is going to be the battle of the big men for real. Cameron Boozer versus JT Toppin. Cameron Boozer averaging 23.3 points per game. JT Toppin averaging 22 points per game. Cameron Boozer averaging 10 rebounds per game. JT Toppin averaging 11. I do think that personally, this is my personal opinion, I think that Christian Anderson is better. I think JT Toppin and Cameron Boozer are close. Sorry, let me talk about that for a second. I think JT Toppin and Cameron Boozer are very, very similar players. I think JT Toppin's a little bit better, especially because of his experience. I know he might not look like it, but he doesn't have the same talent that and the same kind of players that Cameron Boozer has around him. I do think Christian Anderson is probably better than all of Duke's players outside of Cameron Boozer. I mean, I don't know who you would say their second best player is. Maybe it's Isaiah Evans averaging 13 points per game. Maybe it's Malik Brown. I wouldn't say that. Maybe it's Caleb Foster. Maybe he's their second best player, averaging 9 points per game. So like I don't think outside of Cameron Boozer, there's not anyone who's just incredible. Christian Anderson is a really good player. I think the way for Texas Tech to win this game, the only way they can win this game is if Christian Anderson can have a night like he had against Arkansas. I mean, he scored against Arkansas. He scored 26 points. And the game before that against LSU, he had 27. And he's averaging 19. But he's going to have a big game against Arkansas. Now, here's what I'll say. Texas Tech has not seen a defense like this yet. Like, Purdue's defense is good, and they got waxed by Purdue. But Duke's is 3 in KenPom defensive rating, while Texas Tech is way down, if I had to guess, way down the list, just like Auburn, because they are not good. Texas Tech, I'm not going to count, but they are way down in the 40s on the KenPom defensive rating. Duke is averaging 88 points per game, while Texas Tech is averaging 84, pretty much 84 points per game. But here's the big difference. Duke is only allowing 61 points against. Only 61 points, while Texas Tech is allowing 74. Texas Tech's defense is not good, and you saw that against Arkansas. They could not defend Arkansas. And let's be honest, there's no way anyone would say that Arkansas is better on the offensive floor than Duke is. Like, no one's going to say that. KenPom doesn't say it. I'm definitely not going to say it. Duke's at 10 KenPom offensive rating. Texas Tech is at 16, which that's the closest one. Because overall, Duke's at 5, while Texas Tech is, let me see here, at 27. So Duke is they are way better than I thought they were going to be this year. I thought after losing pretty much their whole entire team, replacing pretty much, I think they replaced their whole entire starting 5. But still, they're just so good. And it's because it's Duke basketball. I mean, what do we expect? It's Duke basketball. I'm not really a fan of Duke. What I say is how everyone looks at Alabama football is how I look at Duke basketball. They're just always so good. They're always so talented, and it gets annoying. But you know what? Give it to Coach K. He set them up for years and years, and John Shire has been a great young coach. Should have made it to the championship game last year, but sold against Houston. Anyways, that'll do it for us. That'll do it for me, and I'm by myself today on this episode of Pick and Roll with the Presley Bro. Give me Duke in this game. I really don't think, when it's all said and done, I don't think it's going to be close. But that'll be it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel. Please tell your friends about us. We're trying to grow this page. We're trying to get big. We want to get popular. We want people to share the love that we have about college basketball. Thank you very much. God bless to every one of you. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Get ready for Tuesday. We are going to be having another episode before Christmas, and that'll be our last episode before before Christmas and before New Year's, probably. So thank you very much. I hope you all have a great day. And again, God bless.